I had a lot of requests for this video. Today, we're going to show you how to, very A to B, get rid of puffy eyes, as well as the dark circles around the eyes. And it just so happens that the underlying cause, or at least the most common cause of both of these conditions, is the same thing, which is very, very good. But typically when you do research on this, you're going to find, well, it's just fatigue, it's lack of sleep, you're stressed, it's a hypothyroid condition, it's called Hashimoto's, where you're having this lymphatic tissue that's backing up into the system, or it might be an early sign of Epstein-Barr virus, or maybe it's alcohol, or maybe it's allergy, right? Well, I'm just going to tell you, these are not very common causes of dark circles underneath the eyes or puffy eyes. Now, it is true, if you have damaged kidneys, you are going to definitely have puffiness around the eyes, okay? It's not as common as the thing I'm going to talk about, but it can happen. And the reason why it happens is you're getting this, this fluid backing up into the tissues. It's called interstitial fluid retention because there's a loss of protein in the urine and a loss of protein in your blood. So anytime you don't have enough albumin, which is a protein in your blood, you start retaining fluid and you can get edema and puffiness around the eyes. Transverse bands on your nails. So if you see a couple, horizontal bands around your fingers, might want to get your kidneys checked. And there could be parasites. Okay, that's another cause as well. But let's talk about the most common cause of both puffiness and dark circles underneath your eyes. And the answer is hyperinsulinemia. What is that? That is too much insulin in your blood. You have insulin resistance, which is causing your pancreas to produce too much insulin to compensate. So that's really what's happening. You see this a lot in early diabetics, type 2, and you see it nearly always in pre-diabetics. And of course, the majority of the rest of the population has insulin resistance. So you probably see this very common in people. You can look at their eyes, and if they have this puffiness around the eyes and this darkened pigment, suspect they've been eating a lot of carbs, because it's the carbs that is the big trigger to this high level of insulin. Now, another condition that you see with insulin resistance as well as hyperinsulinemia is acanthosis nigricans. Now, what does that mean? That's a condition where you have darkened folds on your body, like underneath your armpits, like a darkened band on your neck. You might see it under the armpits or next to the breast tissue. But that condition, which is a hyperpigmentation problem, is also caused by high levels of insulin. So the more insulin you have, the more melanin that's pumped out, and that can show up in a darker layer of skin. Now, of course, if you're consuming all these carbs, right, and you have high levels of insulin and insulin resistance, you're going to be one big fluid retaining sponge. Okay, you're going to be holding fluid all over the place. And one common area that you see it is in the ankles, and then the other one is in the eyes, right underneath the eyes, or on the top of the eyelid too. So, I mean, I could look at someone and go, wow, that guy's eating carbs. You could just see their eyes are all puffy, and usually they don't have a clue that that is the reason why. They think it's maybe genetic or it's a lack of sleep, but it's actually the carbs. And also carbs cause the retention of sodium. So they're holding sodium, yet they're very, very deficient in potassium. So what can be done about this? There's 4 things that you can do right now to reverse this, okay? Number 1, stop eating carbs. You can't get rid of this without stopping carbs, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, stop snacking, okay? Snacking is a killer. Every time you eat, guess what? You trigger insulin. So you have to stop snacking. And number 3, you have to start with something called intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is a pattern of eating and not eating. You want to combine that with your low carb diet. We call it a ketogenic plan. The combination of low carb and intermittent fasting, without snacking, of course, is powerful to handle the bags as well as the dark circles. Now, there's one more thing you could do to speed things up, and that is to start taking potassium or consume foods high in potassium, not bananas, okay, or potatoes. You want to do things like beet greens in your salad, more salad itself, like 7 to 10 cups. You want to do avocados, Avocado is like 800 milligrams of potassium. You can do broccoli, mushrooms, they're all very high in potassium. So that's the four things. Number one, stop your carbs, stop your snacking, start doing intermittent fasting, and start to beef up, no pun intended, your potassium. And watch those bags go away, and also watch the darkened circles underneath the eyes go away. That's usually going to take a little bit longer. It could take between 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks before you start noticing a difference. Now, if you haven't seen my new tutorial on how to do keto, I put it right here. Check it out.